This game was part of the Henchman Hardcore mini-tournament. You can pause and read the rules, but briefly. You have 20 soul stones to spend on a crew, and you must take 4 models. Crew lists are fixed, and games last 25 minutes, so this is Malifaux on turbo. And if you see mistakes, please bear in mind the frantic pace at which these games get played. The strategy is always extraction, which means you place an informant marker in the centre of the table, and at the end of every turn, including the first, each crew earns 1 victory point if it has 2 or more non-peon models within 6 inches of the marker. The player with the most models within 6 inches of the marker can then move the marker 3 inches for the next turn. The only scheme is Assassinate, so if the enemy leader is killed or sacrificed, you get 2 victory points, and if this happens before turn 4, you score 3 victory points, so you always score 3 in this tournament. Okay guys and girls, game 3 of the Henchman Hardcore mini-tournament. I'm currently sitting on nil points, but thanks to a bit of an expose in game 2, I now know what all the objectives are, so I feel confident that my Nephilim attack force can make a better job of it. I've deployed like so with my Wildgeist, Young Nephilim, Barbaros, and Young Nephilim. My opponent has the Judge, a Witchling Stalker, an Executioner, and a Guild Lawyer. Not sure what the Judge does, but he can't be as tough as Joss, so the plan is to bomb him with as many of my dudes as possible whilst staying within 6 inches of the marker. Genius! There's my hand going into turn 1, pretty good. And I'll just say, I don't know who shuffled my deck, but I was drawing cards like a boss this game. It felt like I drew more characters than numbers. Conversely, my opponent's cards were complete trash. I don't think he did more than weak damage all game, and this was a trend that continued for him throughout the tournament. Seriously, it was not his night. Needless to say, I got the initiative, and my tree walks up, plants a forest, and I put it there because that Executioner looks pretty nasty in combat, and I want to try to slow him down, and then I go defensive. The Lawyer steps up, targets the Young Nephilim on the right, and sues it for special damages. That means that when I complete an attack action and damage an enemy model, my Nephilim takes 1 damage. Thinking about it now, I wonder how that works with Black Blood, because that could start a cycle of damage in which my Nephilim basically just explodes under the stress of being sued. But I guess Black Blood isn't an attack action, so it probably doesn't trigger the fees. Either way, I thought the attack was pretty funny. I swing my other Young Nephilim out wide. He's still within 6 inches of the token, and I want to make it difficult for the Executioner to get at me. Oh, I've just noticed there are markers on the Executioner and the Judge, and that's because the Lawyer made them hard to wound or something, which is probably not a good thing. The Judge activates, and he don't care about no Nephilim, which is probably a bad sign for me, and then he uses Stand for Judgment to push the Executioner 5 inches towards him. I'm not liking the look of this. I decide I can't have that Lawyer suing me all game, so the other Nephilim moves up to object against the charges levelled against him, and I'm hoping this will lure the Executioner away from the Judge so I can beat on him without interference. That plan seems to work, and the Executioner activates, charges the Nephilim, and beats it into the ground. Barbaros moves up to engage the Judge, staying just out of the Executioner's huge range, and I'm not sure I had any AP left for an attack. Oh no, I charged, doing 4 damage from 2 weak attacks, thanks to all the negative flips I'm being forced to make. The Witchling Stalker launches a charge, trying to protect its master, and maybe it did 1 damage or something. So at the end of this turn, we both earn a victory point each. Going into turn 2, I forget to take a picture of my hand, but it was pretty good. It looks like the Guild win the initiative, however, and the Judge goes first, slicing and dicing my Young Nephilim. The tree activates and runs into the grove, which means its attack range is now something like 4 inches, which is huge. I think I miss with the first attack and then do a weak damage for 2 with the second, and sadly don't get off any of my triggers, which was very annoying. The Lawyer activates and casts special damages on Barbaros. And looking at the rules for this now, I don't think you can do this, as Barbaros is a leader model in this case. But it's not usual that he's a leader, and we're playing really fast, so you'll have to forgive us the mistake. And speaking of mistakes, Barbaros forgot to use his Fears Given form all game. In fact, I think I remembered it once in the entire tournament. But wargaming is essentially remembering rules and using them effectively, so it's no one else's fault if I'm a bad player. So, because the blasted tree can't do its job and root the judge down, when Barbaros attacks for weak damage and pushes him away, I don't get the bonus damage. If I'd remembered Fear's given form, I think I would have had a decent shot at killing this guy, because although he's been soul stoning for damage, it's only been healing 1. But yeah, gah, so close. At least I've knocked him out of scoring range of the central marker. The Witchling Stalker attacks Barbaros and misses. And finally I get to trigger the knockaway thing, so I knock the Witchling Stalker 4 inches away from Barbaros, which is still in range of the central marker by a whisker. The Executioner activates and charges the Wildgeist, and my opponent's cards are so bad that he fails to kill it. At the end of the turn, we both score a victory point for being within 6 inches of the marker, but he's got more guys in range, and so he moves it back to where you see it, between the trees and the house, or tomb or whatever it is. Very good plan. Now both my guys are locked in with the Executioner, who can probably take them by himself, and the rest of his models just run away to the marker and score him lots of points. Good plan. I forget to take a photo of my hand again, but it was awesome, trust me. Arcanists win the initiative, and the Executioner activates first. It splinters the tree using the red joker for damage, and then maybe does a little bit of damage to Barbaros. Actually, maybe it did quite a lot to Barbaros. Anyway, Barbaros then activates, attacks, does a little bit of damage, weak damage I think, but in doing so he incurs fees and dies. So I've got no more models left, and coincidentally the game ended at that exact moment. I really enjoyed this match. My opponent and I were joking around quite a lot, and it was hilarious watching my guys getting sued to death by a lawyer. But in the end, victory to the guild, 6 points to 2. I lost my entire crew, and failed to kill a single enemy model for the 3rd game in a row. So a bit of an arse thrashing, but a brilliant game. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll catch you on the next one.